we are going to be talking about friendship, and we are friends.
Mhm.
We are
We are
friends
friends, and I'm
that
so happy that.
that so am
Mhm, mhm,
that
mhm,
happens in the midlife, or like 30s or 40s,
mhm.
when there is a decline in your close friends. So you have fewer close friends, you have less social interactions. And some of it, I think, especially for women, can be what's going on in your life at that stage, right? You might be trying to climb the corporate ladder. You might
Yeah.
have gotten married. You might have children now, right?
Mhm.
And so you are busy with all of these other things. And if you have friends that aren't busy with those things or can manage them in a different way,
Mhm.
then they might feel like you are not being a good friend, right? Or you are trying to shut them out, which can also then result in isolation, which we
Yeah.
know is an issue and a challenge for women that are, in midlife.
Mhm.
Isolation and loneliness,
Mhm.
that can happen when you have these different life transitions, I guess.
Right. 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 But you know that when I think when you first start talking to me about the friendship dip, my
Hmm.
brain went completely to a couple of my friends that I was really close with at one point in my life. And
Hmm.
one I was really close with, I believe, too, because of proximity. We were near each other, and also situation. She was going through a hard time, and I was there, and it kind of and it bonded us. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And so, and then as we gotten older, over 50, and we don't live in the same area anymore, the proximity has changed, location has changed, her life has changed, her status has changed. She's not single or divorced anymore. She's married.
Hmm.
Things have just, changed. And so with that change came a change in our relationship where it dipped, our friendship dipped.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that dip went into a gap, a decrease. So and that gap just kept getting wider and until one point you're like, you don't even know at one point, when did it happen? Like, when did we stop
Hmm.
being so close? When did we stop checking on each other? When did we stop? Not, I don't want to use the word caring, because that's very loosely and actually not true, because I still care.
Right.
But something happened that caused that dip, and then that dip turned into a gap, and then that gap became wider and wider, and then the the friendship became like no more. You know what I mean?
Really? So there
Yeah.
was no coming back together, because sometimes if you're a
It
friend
hasn't happened. I'm not saying that won't happen, but that's
in
hasn't
that situation, that's what
happened.
happened, just
Yeah.
saying.
Hmm.
Because I had a good friend of mine. Well, she was one of my best friends actually. But I had gotten married, I had my children, and when you get married and you have your
Hmm.
kids, like now you're focused, right, on your
Yeah.
family and that kind of stuff. And she was single still,
Yeah.
right? And then she moved. So
Yeah.
like you said, there's like location and that kind of stuff too. And I didn't really talk to her as much. Like we were
Yeah.
still friends, but it
Right.
wasn't the same, right?
Yeah.
And I remember even after she had moved to like one city, she lived in Arizona, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna come and see you." But then I never did get a chance
Yeah.
like to go and see her out
Yeah.
there. And then she moved somewhere else, and I was like, "Oh man, I never really, got to visit her there." And
Hmm.
I felt like our friendship, it wasn't the same,
Hmm.
but I still didn't feel like it was lost, right? Because
Yeah.
whenever we did connect, it
Yeah.
was like we had like no time had passed,
Right.
like we would
Right.
chat, we would talk, we would catch up and all the things and be like, oh, I'm gonna come and see you, oh, I'm gonna come and see you, but then because of life, it's like I'm not, I couldn't afford to drag my whole family,
Yeah, of
across the
course.
country
Of
and that kind of
course.
stuff. But I do think that the dip is interesting because maybe it's more of like a dip, but then it kind of
Like
can go
ebbs and
back up.
flow. Maybe it's like more
Right.
like ebbs and flow. Yeah.
Right, because most of my friends that I have now, I've had them for a long time. Like
Yeah.
most of them,
Yeah.
I've known them for many, many, many years,
Mhm.
like 10 or more years. Now, I do have some newish friends, I guess, some newer friends, but I don't have that many new friends. And new friends are friends that I would say I've met in like less than 5 years,
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
but I don't have that many new friends.
Except for me, we've been friends for like 25 plus years, you know.
Every time you add some more years, we've been friends for 32 years.
Yep. 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 That's my story. I'm sticking with
Let's
it.
stick it to it.
But you know,
Every time you think of me.
you say something interesting though, because you say my new friends, and when I mean new, within the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like, and I know that we've captured this and covered this before, but I still feel like this is relative. Being 60 years old, it is not easy to make friends. Now, something hit me today when I was reading the 5 levels of friendship.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, it's not easy to make friends. I'm an easy person to be a friend. And once you got me as a friend, you got a gem. I know I'm a good friend.
She's
You
not
know what I
going
mean?
nowhere. She's
Yeah,
she's holding on tight.
yeah. I know I'm a good friend, but I don't make friends easily. And I never have made friends because I'm a little awkward when it comes to it. But then as I've gotten older and and reverting back into my PTSD and my anxiety, it's even worse in trying to make friends. And so I look at that 5 levels of friendship and
Well,
I'm
you have to
like,
tell us what the 5 levels are.
okay, I will. But I look at that 5 levels of friendship and I'm like, maybe I have like casuals or convenience friends, and 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 I look at that as like that's enough at my age.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm good with my close friends that I have, and then if there's any new friends that come, I'm good with them just being casual or convenient friends.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So the
Well, it's hard to add, I think, a new, like really close friend.
mhm. But the 5 levels of friendship. So here is let me see, let me get it. The
Yeah.
5 levels of friendship here, 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 here. Okay, so the 5 levels of friendship. So level 5 is acquaintance.
Acquaintances.
My favorite word that I can't say, acquaintances. And it says that you can have in your lifetime up to 100 to 500 people that come through.
500.
Yeah, 100 plus people that come in and out of your life, come
Okay.
through your life that are
Okay.
just acquaintances. And you know them, and some you know by name. You may know their face, you
Mm-hmm.
nod, or scroll past each other's lives. They exist around you, but not with you.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
they're in your environment,
Right.
and
Or they may
you
be a friend of a friend.
and you know of them,
Mm-hmm.
but they're just acquaintances. And then it says level 4 is
Mm-hmm.
convenience friends. Convenience friends, you may have 20 to 50 of these people that are convenience friends that you know, and they may be in the same gym class as you. They may have the same job as you or the same schooling that you are into at that moment. And then the friendship works until their life rearranged. They stop going to that gym, or they graduate from that class, or they
Mm-hmm.
don't work there no more. So now something has changed, and
They're no longer in that location. So
they're
they're
not
kind of
there.
like
They're not
location
close.
based.
Yeah, they're not in proximity of you. So they were just convenient friends for the time that they were there, in
Mm-hmm.
whatever situation y'all were in.
What I think of is like friends of your kids, like parents of your
Hmm.
kids, right?
Yeah.
Like when you have children
Hmm.
and maybe you go to the same school or maybe they participate in the same sports or what have
Hmm.
you. And you can
Hmm.
be like close for a while, like, oh,
Yep.
you pick up their kids, they pick your kids up, drop them off, blah, blah, blah. But like when your child isn't playing that sport anymore, right?
Hmm.
Or if
Hmm.
the person moves away and they're no
Hmm.
longer like kind of in the neighborhood,
Yeah,
then you don't really
you
talk to
don't
them
see
anymore.
him.
Yep.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And then it says level 3 is a casual friend, and you
Mm-hmm.
might know maybe 5 to 15 of them. Y'all laugh together. Y'all may hang out occasionally. You may share bits and pieces of story with them. May not be the whole story, but you may share a little bit with them. And then you just do some light laughter with them, something light with them. They make life a little lighter. And that's a casual friend. And then you get to your close friends, which is level two, and it says there's you may have 2 to 5 of them. They know your patterns, they know your bad habits, they know your moods when you go quiet, and you don't have to perform around them, and you can literally rest knowing these people.
Mhm.
And then you have your best friends, which you may have 2 of them.
Yep.
They see you at your worst and they don't flinch. And then they don't, yeah, they don't just know your story, they have helped you to survive your story, you know?
Mm,
But even in that category, I feel like that could come and go. I have a friend that I knew many, many years ago, that I knew her story. I knew her life. I was in proximity and I helped her to survive it. Because I had went through some similar stuff that she went through. And
mhm.
so our closeness was like just it was so tight, the bond was there. That's not there anymore. I still
Mhm.
love her, I still care for her, you know, but within yourself the access is different. You know what I mean?
Mm. Yeah.
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 And so as you get older, I think friendship definition, that it defines different. Even with you saying I have really close friends that I've been friends with for many, many years, do you think that your friendship with them today is the same as it was many years ago?
No. I would say absolutely not. And I'll even put my brother in that group,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because even though he's family, he's still one of my best friends.
Mm-hmm.
But we weren't always like that, right? Like we weren't always close. I didn't always speak to him,
Mm-hmm.
multiple times of the week or multiple times in the day and what have you.
Yeah.
Um, and I feel like that relationship has changed for some of the reasons why we said before, because of different life situations that happen.
Right.
But I also think that everybody isn't meant to be in your life in the same
Yeah.
way. Some people aren't even meant to be in your life forever, right? Some people are meant to be in your life forever. Some people are meant to be, what is it? Reason, season, lifetime,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
think that that's what friends are. Like some friends are meant to be in your life for a lifetime. Some are just there for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you needed, maybe when they were your neighbor, right? They
Yeah.
lived next door to you and
Yeah.
needed new friends in the neighborhood or whatever. Or they were there to help you through something, right? Like I've had friends in my life who were there for a season. I remember, and she's actually come back around. Like she's another friend who, so my son is, so Jalen's 26. And so I remember when I got pregnant with Jalen, she was like a new friend,
Mm-hmm.
but she was a friend who had a baby young. So she was younger than me when she had her first kid. And so I always felt like really young when I had him.
Mm-hmm.
And so she became like a really fast friend then because we were in the same place. I guess it was like a convenience thing. We had this thing in common, like young
Mm-hmm.
parents or what have you,
Mm-hmm.
and we became like really good friends, and we were really close for a while. And
Yeah.
then we like weren't,
Yeah.
not for any reason. Well, I guess so because then she got married, then she has some kids, but now my kids are older, right? So like we're in different phases or what have you. And then she kind of like I hadn't spoken to her for some time, or I might talk to her like once every 5 years or something. But then she came back in my life, maybe like 6 or 7 years ago, right? So now we're like good friends again. But I think it sometimes it's about where you are in your life and like
Mm-hmm.
where they are in in their life
Yeah.
at the
So
time.
do you feel like midlife sometimes reveals misalignment with certain friends? Like as you grow older, you start to recognize that you're not aligned with that person. You don't have the same mindset, something shifts. Do you think that?
Yeah, I know people have said stuff like this. I don't, I guess maybe I haven't thought that much about it
Hmm.
because like I said, most of the people I know have been in my life for a long time. And even if they go, they come back. You know what I mean? It's like, and I don't really, I've not really had friends where, you know, how some women have, you know, these girlfriends that are just like jealous of
Yeah.
them,
Oh
or
yeah.
they want their man, or, you know, or
Yeah.
just
I've
not
had that experience.
not real friends, but fake friends,
Yeah.
or want to use them and stuff. I've never
Hmm.
had friends like that. I've
Yeah.
had friends where I've had to kind of let them go. That was hard. But
Hmm.
that was some time ago. I had a friend like that, but that was more of like a trust issue. That wasn't,
Yeah.
I don't think that was an age thing. That had to be more like 20, like 10 or 15 years ago or
Mm.
something.
But do
And
you
that
think?
was weird. But
But do
I've
you
not
think?
had generally friends where, like, at this stage in my life where I'm like, oh
Yeah.
no, I might not talk to them as much, or I might
Hmm.
add more friends
Hmm.
around interests that I have that maybe they don't have, but I don't lose them.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Do you think sometimes guilt, especially you're past 50, you're past 60, you know that the friendship doesn't serve you anymore, but guilt keeps you in an expired friendship?
So I'm recalling a friend that I have had for a long time, but I don't know. I think they were, what was this? A convenience friend, right? So they were a convenience friend, and I had met them in like school, you know, in college or something. And so they were a friend because at the time, you know, we were in the same place, and you know, we had a lot more in common.
Yeah.
Um, and I guess over the years, like I don't talk to them as much,
Hmm.
but I still consider them a friend.
Yeah.
Is that me? I mean, I don't, but they're not, they're like a convenience friend, I guess. And they've never moved to a different level. So that could
Hmm.
be a
And
interesting thing too,
that's
because,
but that's a misalignment. And sometimes in midlife, we are misaligned with our friend, but and the friendship truly has expired. For no malice, there's no malice, there's no ill will, anything. The friendship has just took its course.
but I feel like when that happens, people just drift away. Like there's nothing you have to do,
Sometimes
right?
people
Like,
drift
how do
away.
you know? Okay,
Sometimes
so give
one
me an
person's
example of a friendship that has expired and you're like, I have to get rid of this friend.
no, we've known each other forever. We've just known each other forever. We was friends back in the day. So we're just, it's like the friendship is just there because you've known each other forever. But you as you're growing older, you see that there is no alignment with this. The mindset is different. We're not
Hmm.
thinking the same thing. We don't believe in the same things. you know they're going through something different in their life, so they are not willing to hear what you're going through in your life because it's about them. But you don't release the friendship because you feel a guilt that keeps you there, because you feel like, well,
You've
she
known them
needs
for a
to be
long
there, and
time.
I've known her since we was in middle school, so I
Mm.
just can't. Even though the friendship has expired and you're 50, 60 years old and it has, you know?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Like I said, I don't see it that way. I just see it as, yeah, so maybe there is a friend, like, you know, I was saying that I had, that we were close when I was younger. Um, but I still care for the person like a friend. I don't
Yeah.
speak to them as much.
Yeah.
So I don't think I think the friendship has shifted or
Hmm.
transitioned maybe,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
expired makes it seem like we're not friends anymore and I'm not going to
Yeah.
talk to you anymore
Yeah.
just because we don't have as much in common. And I don't
Well, maybe that's
do
the
that.
key.
I don't really have I don't have friendships that end.
Hmm.
I would say I have friendships that um maybe reduce in like the frequency of, you know, check-ins, discussions,
Well,
talking,
maybe that's
whatever.
it. Maybe the commonality has expired, not the friendship itself, but what you had in common no longer is a valid reason for the friendship anymore.
Yeah, but what you say makes a good point though, because there was a statistic that said Well, when it talked about women, it was something specific to women and friendships. Okay, on average, people lose nearly one good friend a year,
Hmm.
with women experiencing 7.8 friendship losses over 10
Wow.
years, according to a
Wow.
Talker research study. And that seems like a lot to me.
Yeah.
Like losing on average one good friend per year.
Yeah.
Um,
Wow.
that
That is a lot.
seems right. But also I guess it depends on what you think of as a good friend, because to me a friend is, if somebody is my friend, like they'll always pretty much be my friend unless they do something shady or shifty,
Yeah.
or you know what I mean. And like you said, then we end the friendship and then
Hmm.
it's kind of
Hmm.
clear, because like I'm
Yeah.
not talking to you, I'm not calling you back, we're not texting,
Yeah.
we're not doing anything. um but if we are friends and over time, like you say, things kind of move in a different direction,
Hmm.
then they're still kind of my friend, but they may be on a acquaintance level or something
Yeah.
now, or more of a casual, maybe a casual. So maybe at one point they were like a close friend
But maybe
or a
that's where
best
the dip
friend, and
comes.
then they've moved here now to a casual friend. But as
Yeah,
far as losing a friend a year, like that seems like a lot of friends.
it does. But
Lose
maybe
one
that's
good
where
friend
the
a year?
dip but maybe that's where the dip comes in. The dip doesn't define that you lose the friend. The dip defines what category the friend falls in now.
Right.
Where the
And
friend was once a close friend and now the friendship has dipped and that friend has now became a convenience friend or
right,
or situational friend. You know what I mean?
right.
Transactional friend, you know?
Yeah. Well, I guess that could be the case, because certainly there are friends that I had, when I work certain places that I'm not friends with. Like they're my work
Mhm,
friends.
mhm,
And
mhm.
that's kind
And
of
that's
it.
that.
Right. Which
I
I
have a
always find interesting. I think um it's hard to transcend like a work friendship for me
Me too.
with
I think
people.
you're the you I have you in my whole life I worked what 30 years, and in those 30 years I've transcended really three people that are really good friends and still my friend today. 30
Yeah.
years.
It,
That's
work
crazy.
yeah, work is harder, I think.
Mhm.
Because you are with these same people all the time. So you see them every day, and you know them and talk to them probably more than you talk to some of your family, even,
Mhm.
right? Because you are with them for so long. Like they know who your family members are, even if they've never met them before, because you talk about them and what they're doing and what you did over the weekend and the vacations that you've taken. And so you become close like in that environment,
Mhm.
but then you don't hang out on the weekends with these people. You only see them at work. You
Yeah.
only see them like
Yeah.
in that place.
Yeah.
And I've not been, so I have one friend who does not believe in work friends. She said
Mm.
something about Oprah said something like this. Like you don't need
Really?
friends at work. Does that sound like something you've heard Oprah say? I
But
don't
keep
know.
going.
But I think she said it was something Oprah said about, you don't need any work friends. Like you're not at work to make friends. And while I don't necessarily think I'm at work to make friends, I also don't
Mhm.
think I'm not at work.
I
I'm
also
not
don't think
there
I'm
to
at
make
work to
friends.
make enemies either.
Right, right. Or I'm not looking to not make friends. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? It's not
Yeah.
as though I'm there thinking, "Oh my gosh, I hope I don't make any friends here." But
Yeah.
to actively try not to make friends is not something I ever considered at work. But there are very few people, and I think some of it too is just maybe our dynamic here at work. When I lived abroad, the people I worked with were also my friends. So I would see them at work and I would see them out of work.
Mhm.
But here, I think there's very clear lines of
Yeah.
these are the people you work with. This is your work relationship, and that's it. And it's gotten. I think it's gotten that strong. That mentality has gotten stronger as I've gotten older. I think when I
Yeah,
was
because
younger,
I've had work friends send me Facebook friend requests, and I'm like, mm-mm, nope.
But when I was younger, I think I would have more friends at work that I might hang out with outside of work
Mhm.
versus now there's
Mhm.
only a few
Yeah.
people that I would
Yeah.
be interested in hanging out with outside of work.
I have a question for you and our listeners. I would love to hear what the question is, and for you that are I mean the answer to this question for you that are listeners, hashtag wisdom and bloom friendship,
Hmm.
and give us this answer. What kind of friendships do you want walking with you into this next chapter of your life?
You mean the levels, based on the
Hmm.
levels
Hmm.
of
Based on the
friendships?
levels. Hmm.
I mean, all of them. I think there's room in our life for all of the different levels of friendship. If we So I have some people, I've heard people say things like the work thing, like you can't have friends at work, or
Hmm.
like that person, even though you might hang around them all the time, they're like, "Oh, they're not my friend. They're just
Hmm.
my
Hmm.
acquaintance."
Yeah.
And they say it like in a negative way, as though that person has not risen to that level or
Yeah.
can't rise to that level, or
Yeah.
there's like one person that has risen to this level of like friend.
Yeah.
Everyone else is just basically an acquaintance.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's how you frame your friendships and how you look at them, because an acquaintance friend can have its value
Yeah.
for whatever period of time that an
Yeah.
acquaintance friend is there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like, if, for example, I have this gym I go to, and we have this transformation challenge that we're doing, and like one of the
Mhm.
trainers, like she's really nice and she's really cool and she's like very encouraging or whatever. I would consider her more an acquaintance friend, but to me she's like important, right? To keep me
Yeah.
motivated, to keep me on track or whatever. Like she has a value. I would never say no, like
Yeah.
be dismissive of her and how we engage in this like friendship dance kind of thing.
Mhm. Mhm.
But I understand why people say that certain people have this like BFF status or whatever. But I think that you you should be careful about devaluing people,
Right.
right? In your life and in your circle, because of course there's best friends that have a lot of value, there's close friends, but casual friends, convenience friends, and acquaintances also have their value. At least to me, that's how I look at it. So I don't ever think that any friendship necessarily is a throwaway friendship or a waste of
Mhm.
time
I agree.
or anything
Because
like that.
it was all for a reason. It
Yeah.
was all for a reason. It was
They just
all for a
have their
reason.
place. Now as I get older, I don't spend a lot of time with like acquaintance people. You know what I mean? Like my time is, I think, a little bit more
Yeah.
valuable to me than it used to
Mhm.
be. So
Mhm.
I do tend to spend my time more around people that are in those other,
Categories.
closer, yeah,
Mhm. Mhm.
buckets. But that doesn't mean I'm not open to acquaintances either.
Mhm. Mhm.
And especially when you find that you have this dip in friendships for women, or you have these different life shifts that are happening for women, whether it be, shifts with the circumstances where your children are not hanging with the same people, so you're not friends with their parents anymore. Maybe you've gotten a divorce and like all of your couple friends went with your husband or whatever.
Mhm.
But that doesn't mean you can't make more friends and you can't
I
find new.
also I also think it's hard to when women start going through menopause because they don't know quite what's going on with them, and they are getting into this funk, this high vibration of anxiety. They're trying to
Hmm.
figure out what's changing with them, and I think
Yeah.
they kind of pull away a little bit. And so that's
Oh.
why I really do, and that's why I love the movement right now around perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause, because it's kind of bringing women from all over the world together. Not say that we're going to be best friends, but at least we are sounding boards and we're talking the same language, and we're giving people permission to not understand what's going on with them, and letting them know that it's okay. I didn't understand it either. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Mhm.
where
Mhm.
there was a time when you're going through menopause, like I was alone. I was completely alone. And because I didn't understand what I was going through, I thought I was going crazy.
Hmm.
And me already having anxiety and PTSD, I associated that coupled with that and withdrew myself. And my mindset was I didn't want to burden anyone. I didn't want people to think I was more crazier than what I am. I didn't understand what I was going
Right.
through. So I start withdrawing myself, you know,
But did
and
you feel lonely during that time, or you?
absolutely I felt
Oh, you did.
completely, I felt like I was the only one going through what I was going through. I felt completely isolated, you know. So and my poor husband, he had no clue what was happening to me, and I had no clue how to explain to him what was happening to me. So not only am I isolating myself from what small friend circle I have, but I'm also isolating myself from him because he doesn't understand me, you know. So I think that that's where true friendship really comes into play, where you can have a circle of friends who are like-minded, you know, around the same age as you, who may be going through the same thing. Y'all have grown together. Y'all your access to each other is still one of purity and positivity, and you can actually share with that person what you're going through. And I think that helps to prevent a deep friendship dip, you know. But I
Hmm.
do believe that that dip comes even more when we go through menopause. I really do.
Hmm. Well, you are absolutely right. I think there are a lot of things that happen for women that we aren't in community about, right? Where we can talk about it when, especially when it comes to menopause and like hormonal things. And that can impact everything, can impact
Hmm.
all of your different relationships, your friendships,
Yeah.
and all kinds of stuff. And we are actually creating a community on our
Hmm.
Patreon to bring women together so that we can have more of these kinds
Yeah.
of conversations. So
Absolutely.
if you enjoy these kind of conversations, please join us on our Patreon community. But
Yeah.
I think what
And
you were
see us on
saying,
Facebook and give us some stars. We would love for to have you guys there. There's some deep
there's lots of
conversations going
conversation
over
on
on
our Facebook
Facebook. Some
community as well.
controversial
That's
conversations, but
that's very true.
jump in.
But I think when you can actually identify, right? Like this is what's happening and this is what's going on. That's when you can actually bring other women into the conversation to
When you can
say,
articulate it, yeah.
right, yes, this is what's happening to me too. This is something I've experienced. Like, let's figure out how we can come together to figure it out or to just discuss it. Sometimes women just need other women to talk things through with, you know what I mean? They don't need to fix anything. It's just,
Yeah.
oh, you see me, you understand
Yeah. Yeah.
what's going on with me
Yeah.
because, and you can relate to it.
Yeah.
Um, and and that's important too. And maybe as women, as we get older, and maybe I just don't see it as much right now, um, we are pulling away from each other
Yeah.
and just thinking we don't really need that community. But women are lonely. I mean, we know that there's a lot of lonely women out here. So that maybe that's just something they tell themselves, but it doesn't seem to be true that they don't want friends and they don't want community, but maybe they just don't know how to create it.
I think there's always that one person in that the close friendship circle that's the anchor that always kind of brings all the other friends together. Like, hey, let's all go on a girls trip. Hey, let's all get together and go shopping. Hey, let's all go get some coffee. It's always that one friend that kind of anchors everyone, you
I've
know?
never had a group like that though.
Yeah.
No, not really. Like
Yeah.
I've never had, maybe in high school there was a group of us, like three
Hmm.
or four of us that would hang out, but not since then. Like since then I've had like a friend here, right? Like
Hmm.
you're my,
Hmm.
your
I
podcast friend.
I
You know what I
totally
mean?
can, yeah,
And then,
relate.
and yeah, and then I have my, my best friends, but they're like totally separate, and they don't. It's not like a Sex and the City kind of thing. Like I've not had a Sex and the City kind
I
of
long
friendship.
for that. I long for that. I don't have that either. And I don't think I've ever had it. Even maybe if I think about this, maybe when I was an athlete.
Hmm.
So, because I was an avid athlete, a high performing athlete, and so the teams I was on, we did things together. We would go on trips together, go shopping together, go do things
Mm,
together. So maybe, but I wasn't the one that would forge it or start it or be the one to be proactive. But I would be the one that they would have to talk into coming, or continuously have to, come on, come go, we got you, you're safe, you're in a safe space or whatever. But after I moved from being an athlete off of a
mm.
team, I don't actually recall having that. I mean, I've
I feel like that's a
tried,
hard
I've
thing.
wanted it. And I remember a few years ago actually going away on something with some ladies, and it didn't go well at all. And that
Hmm.
that made me feel very reluctant in doing it again.
So I think you can do two things. Like you can have different things that happen. So I've had friends who've brought women together. But so for example, it would be my birthday. I'm just
Mhm.
using this as an
Mhm.
example. So it's my birthday. And
Mhm.
I want my girlfriends to come and celebrate with me. But they're all from different places, right?
Mhm.
Maybe this is the not the levels of friendship, but like the departments of friendship, or compartments, right? Like this is my friend I've had since childhood. You know what I mean? Like this is my friend that I know from the gym. This is my friend or whatever who's become a really good friend because I met her through my husband.
Right, 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 right.
But they would all kind of center around me, and they would come to hang out with me, but
Mhm.
they wouldn't hang out with each other when I wasn't there.
Yeah. Yeah.
What happens with Sex in the City, right? It's like they do things with each other even when Carrie is not around.
Mhm.
And I've never really had that happen. Like you said, since maybe high school. I guess it was high school, but again, it could have
Yeah.
been a proximity thing, right? Like you all
Yeah.
were in the same place, you just had a group of friends. But like
Mhm.
not as an adult. As an adult, I've had one friend here, one friend here, one
Me
friend here.
too.
Like you might
Me
meet my
too.
other friends, but you're not necessarily like friends with them on your own
Mhm.
doing your own thing.
Mhm.
And that could be also a location thing, right? Maybe because they all lived in the city, they all lived in New York, they all were together.
Mhm.
And I don't know how they met each other though, because I don't know that they ever really talked about that. If they came together because of Carrie, I mean, I know the show was around her,
Yeah.
or if they came together through somebody else,
Mhm.
one of the other ladies.
Mhm.
But yeah, I only longed for that when I saw that show. Like I never really thought about it before
Yeah.
because I didn't see it a lot. Like
Mhm.
even my mom and my grandmom and women in my life, like they had women friends, but they didn't have like large groups that
Yeah.
they hung out with all the time. Like
Yeah.
they might have like a few
For
ladies they
me,
went
like I've
out
told you
with.
for more, for
Yeah.
me it was Waiting to Exhale. That group of ladies. I was like, man, I wish I had that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Were they all friends like in Sex in the City, or did they just
Remember
come
they were all
together?
friends. They went, to the Caribbeans or wherever they went together, and yeah, they were, but they were friends. They were friends who leaned on each other. Each one knew each other.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I've longed for that, but I don't know.
Maybe that happens if you like stay in the same place for a
Yeah.
long time.
And see, that's another thing. I'm military. My husband was military. We was never anywhere for longer than 2 or 3 years. So it was very hard to build that base.
But also for women, I think I say I think a lot. Now I'm like paying attention. I think. This is just a little aside, but I remember when I worked at Nielsen, there was a woman that came to like talk to women about women, and she
Hmm.
said, you should not say I think
Hmm.
in the workplace, that is
Yeah.
a sign of
You-
you not
You're
knowing,
not sure. You're not
right?
sure.
And you are not confident.
Hmm.
So don't say I think. I'm not going to say I
But
think.
I think
I'm not going to say it. to say I think. But when you have when but when you are younger
Hmm.
and you just have more reason to be together,
Yeah.
and maybe as young girls you might be more interested in adding women
Yeah.
to your friend
Yeah.
group,
Hmm.
it's easier to have those kind of friends that you start young and then they just have always been, versus when we get older, women seem to be reluctant to add. First of all, they seem to be reluctant to add a friend,
Hmm. Hmm.
is my findings.
Yeah.
And if there's already an established kind of group, they're
Hmm.
not really interested in adding someone else to that group because they're
Yeah. I
very
experienced that.
protective of that
Hmm.
group.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I don't know if your way into exhale moment is going to be able to happen
That
for
happened.
we can always keep hope alive. You just never
Keep
know.
alive. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you just never know because it's definitely possible. But also there can't be any petty jealousies. There can't be
Exactly. And you would
any
hope by the time midlife 50, 60, 70 that that's not happening.
I
But
know it
trust me,
is.
you never, yeah, you know it is. You know it is.
Yeah, like oh, you talked to Denise more than I talked to her. I haven't spoken to her in weeks. Well, she didn't return any of my calls, but
Mhm.
you went
Yeah.
where? You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. Hmm.
And so I feel like that it's harder. It's harder to have that group friendship, but I don't think it's as hard to have like add one friend
Hmm.
here and there.
Hmm. I'm going to end with this story. When you said you reminded me of something when you said, "Oh, you went to see your friend, that friend, but you didn't come and see me." I
Hmm.
remember living. We were stationed somewhere, and I became really close friends with this one young lady, and we were, very close friends. She had kids, I had kids. We was doing things together, whatever. But I lived on the post. I lived on base, military base. And so, but it wasn't a base that was shut down in a way that civilians couldn't come on the base. You could come on the base, show your ID, come on the base. It wasn't an issue. And so, but every time I would see her, I would
Hmm.
always go to her house. I would
Hmm.
always go to where she was. I would always take my kids to where she and her kids was,
Hmm.
always, always, always. Then we met another girl who was in our friendship who was wonderful, phenomenal. I still, we still are acquaintances, convenience friends today, and she also lived on the post, on military post, same post on the other side of the post that I lived on. And we all three, became friends. We may not hang out
Hmm.
together at the same time,
Hmm.
but we were all kind of knew each other. The friend that would never come onto the post and see me. She would never come. And one time I asked her, I'm like, I'm always coming out to see you, or I'm always coming out to your house, or I'm always dragging my kids to your house. Why don't you come to my house sometime? And she's like, girl, it's too much. I'm not coming on that post. You got to show your ID. You got to do this. You got to do that. That's what she's saying. I just kind of,
I said
like,
okay,
okay,
fine.
all right, fine, whatever. But then I find out that she's going to the other girl's house. She hangs out over there.
Hmm.
She hangs out at her house, or she'll go visit her at her house. And I'm like, wait a minute.
Mm.
We're all friends. We're all doing the same activities, doing this, but she finds time to go
Right.
over to this friend's house, but had never stepped foot in my house. The whole 3 years I lived there, had never
Mm.
stepped foot in my home.
Mm.
Even her kids had come to my house, but I would go and pick them up and
Right,
bring
and
them,
bring them to your
mhm,
house.
to my
Huh.
house. And so one day I'm over at the other girl's house, and she says, we're having casual conversation, and she mentions that Nancy was here last weekend, and we did this and this. And I said, she was here at your house? And she's like, yeah. I said, she came on post and came to your house.
Like she
Right?
stepped through the door.
Yeah. And she was like, yeah, she's been over here a few times. And I remember that putting it put a dip in our friendship. And it wasn't because I was jealous, but it was it was presented like I was.
Mm,
That I was jealous because she went to her house and not mine. And I wasn't jealous. And I don't feel like I was being petty. I just wanted to know why. Like,
right.
what was more important about that friendship or that person than ours were, because here I am trugging all the time to your house with no questions asked, you know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Mhm.
So sometimes you're just not as important to a person as you think you are, and sometimes we are delusional and we think we may be in category 3 in their friendship circle when we're actually in category 5. You know what
Mhm.
I mean?
Mhm. Mhm.
So you're in category 3 for me, but you have kept me in category 5, you know. So misalignment, complete misalignment.
Well, I can see how that friendship might start to dwindle away,
Hmm.
right? Or at least
Fire.
decline, right? Decline in the visits
Hmm.
because there's an imbalance there,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Between how she treats you versus how she treats the other person. And it's not that you want her to treat you like the other person and you're jealous of
No,
that friendship.
not at
It's
all.
trying to understand like why she thinks it's okay
Hmm.
to do something for one friend but not for the other. And then she's also
Especially
not
with the
being honest
explanation that was given.
about it. Right. She's saying she's not coming on it. Well, you do. You
But you
do come on the
do.
base.
You definitely do. And you did.
Yeah.
And you still do.
Right. So what is that about? Right. And why are you saying that? So I totally get that. I totally get that.
Well,
Well, I like this conversation about friendship. And there's so many things you can talk about with friendships. Like you can talk about
especially as we
can
get
women
older.
have male friends? You can talk
Hmm.
about friendships and marriages. You could talk about uh friendships that, have how can you rekindle a friendship that has gone south or whatever. Like this conversation can just like go on and on and on.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
My hope is that women will see this and maybe there's something that they can relate to
Yeah,
about their friendship that
absolutely.
or a friendship that has passed or whatever, and that they can see something in some of the stories that we've shared, but then also recognize if they are interested in making friends or in having more people in their life, whether they're on level one, become a level one person, or if they're just a level five person, that it does start with you, right? It does start with you. I know sometimes people say things like, oh, they never call me, or they never reach out to me, or they never. You can do the same. You can
Yeah,
reach out,
yeah.
right? You can
My
reach out,
grandmother used to say
send a
the
message.
telephone line runs both ways.
Right. My phone rings and it dials.
Hmm. Hmm.
It dials and it rings, right? So you also can take some ownership. Now, if you are reaching out to people and they're not responding, that's one thing. But if you're saying you're just waiting because people need to be reaching out to you,
Hmm.
then that's not a time for you to have a little bit of self reflection
Hmm.
and say, is that really going to get me what it is that I want, and take some different
Yeah.
actions as
And I
well.
would love for, our listeners to question themselves and say and figure out which of their friendships is actually nourishing them and which of their friendships feel heavy. I read this article that they was talking about this exercise where if you have a friend and that friend comes to you and y'all are hanging out, pay attention to how you feel when you are around that friend or when that friend leaves you. Do that person leave you better than they came when you were there in the
Oh
initial
yeah.
visit?
Yeah.
Watch how your energy.
Does that friend energize you, or does
Yeah,
that friend
does she
drain you?
drain you? He or she, does she drain you? So,
You
pay
feel like we still
attention.
have a lot of friendships like that as adults, draining friendships at our age?
I don't know
We
about
haven't been able to
friendships, but
weed them
sometimes
out.
family ships happen like that.
Well, but that's another
I
discussion.
know.
family is
Mm,
totally different
yeah,
than friends, right? Because friends, you choose them,
that's right.
and family, you don't choose it. You can choose to have them as a friend, but you can't
Hmm.
choose to have family as family, right? They just are family.
But I do think, yeah, I do think that at 50 and 60 that there are still women in their midlife at 50, 60, 70 years old that a person who has been their friend for 40 years comes in their life and leaves them just drained.
Hmm.
Leaves them drained. I really do. I honestly do. Yeah. I see so many posts sometimes from midlife women who are saying this year it's gonna be all about me. I'm gonna take care of myself. I'm dropping, people who don't serve me anymore. I'm setting boundaries, so that tells me that they still have people in their life or friends in their life that shifts their energy for the worse and not for the better.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. You're right. That still does happen, especially when you've had people in your life for a long time.
Hmm.
It is hard
Hmm.
to let them go or to find ways to get rid of them because you don't want to be mean or you don't want to be unkind. And I would say if this is you and you have, now I'm not talking about family, that's a different discussion.
Hmm. It is.
Family is harder to figure out sometimes. But if you have a friend and you don't feel like you can say to the friend, because maybe the friend is just wired, right? They can't even take criticism, they can't take any bad news. It can be a bit much for them to even hear you say that you don't want to talk to
Hmm.
them as much because they
Yeah.
drain you. What do you mean? I
Yeah.
love you. We're the best of friends.
Hmm.
Um, However, we all have control of the people that we allow in our spaces.
That's right. That's
And
right.
so you don't have to completely cut them off, but you don't have to allow them as much access either.
Hmm. Hmm.
So if you don't feel like you can say, Denise, this friendship is draining me and
Hmm.
this is our last
You
conversation.
wear me out.
Right, this is our
You
last
wear me out.
conversation.
Hmm. Hmm.
And you don't feel like you can say that for whatever reason, perhaps, if Denise calls and says she wants to go out, you can say, I would really like to do that, but not right now.
Not
Right?
right
Like
now.
maybe you need more
And
time
I'm
for
not
yourself.
angry. I'm just not listening
And
because I need
right,
to take care of myself.
right. Or if they want to do something like go on like some long spa day and you're like, there's no way I can do the spa day,
Hmm.
we can go get our nails done and a meal and that might be it. You know what I mean? Like you can also manage your own time, I guess,
That's
in that
right.
space.
That's right. Mm.
If you can't say to the person for whatever reason, like, or you can't just quit on the friend because maybe you don't want to quit on a friend, maybe you have other things in common, maybe you have family or children or responsibilities or business or whatever, but you can limit your time, I
Yeah,
would
I
say, with the friend that's draining you.
I agree. I agree. Hey,
Yeah,
midlife friendship changes after 40. We're blooming, y'all.
we are blooming.
And not just any friendships, but midlife friendships. And how it changes with you over 40, how it changes with you over 50, how it changes. That's what we're talking about.
Yes. And
Hmm.
if you enjoyed this discussion, please leave us a comment and let us know. And if you want us to have more discussions about friendships or share more information or more data about friendships, I'm going to leave with this last data piece. There was so much interesting data about friendships. I thought that was kind of, kind of interesting. I just said that. There was so much interesting data that I found interesting. There was so much data about friendships in midlife. 25% of people over 50 report that they don't have enough close friends,
Hmm. Hmm.
rising to 47% among those with fair or poor mental health.
Hmm.
So there definitely is a need that people are having for these close friendships. And it doesn't change as we age. It seems that people are wanting more friendships as
Yeah.
they get older, closer
Yeah.
friendships, because they realize how valuable friendships are as they get older. And it's never too late. It's never too late to learn how to be a better friend. It's never too late to learn how to make more friends, but you have to be, open to learning how to do that.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Don't forget, we are Wisdom and Bloom, and we're here to remind you, especially midlife women, we're reminding you to choose yourself and to bloom boldly and invest in your life, the life that you're ready to live, your next chapter. We are reminding you that you have a voice and your voice should not be faded by no means at all. It should
No, it should get louder as you get
get
older.
louder
Louder, bolder,
and prouder and
and
bolder.
prouder, and bolder.
Bolder. Hey, hey, hey. Hey.
All right, keep blooming, ladies.
Keep blooming, ladies. Oh, I like the kids do. What is
Oh,
that right there?
clock it, clock it.